How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Nessa Beer Reviews, back to get another review. Little Russian Imperial Stout time. In the form of Hoof-Hearted Brewing's Voltan Russian Imperial Stout. Hoof-Hearted, you know, if you guys watch my reviews of Hoof-Hearted, you know that their beers, I can get down with them. You know, I don't think I've had one that's really kind of blown me away. I could be wrong. Of the ones I've reviewed, the biggest thing is kind of the hipster quotient is off the charts with these guys. The badly drawing of the labels and stuff on purpose, not like badly drawing in a kind of innocent kind of way. It's badly drawing just so it looks like shit. And it kind of annoys me a little bit. But I'm still going to review them. And if the beer's awesome, the beer's fucking awesome. So, anyway. Let's give it a whirl. Hoof-Hearted Brewing. It's Voltan Russian Imperial Stout. There's a bunch of characters on here. I recognize these two. I don't know what Voltan is from. I know Voltan from fucking Flash Gordon, but these two characters look super fucking familiar. I know it's from something, so it's probably from like I don't know, it's from a movie or video game, but whatever. But yeah, label wise, yeah, I'm not a fan. Russian Imperial Stout. Oh, stuff. Massive. It says massive on there. There you go. Now I love the label. It says roasted espresso, dried fig, licorice, incredibly deep, rich malt flavor. Do you know what those things can do? Suck the paint off your house and give your family a permanent orange afro. Now that I like. Why? Because it appeals to me. And when things appeal to me, I can overlook the fucking weirdness. That, my friends, is Spies Like Us. That is some Dan Aykroyd for you. If you have not watched that movie, then I'm sorry. It's fucking fantastic. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. 9.5%. Done and done. Let's crack this sucker. Get out my Joder's Dakota ring and see if I can fucking make sense of this fucking beer. Okay. Spies Like Us, man. Jesus Christ. Such a good fucking movie. Man, I gotta watch that movie. I gotta go watch that movie, so. Anyway. Figure and a half, infinite creaminess. Ooh, big coffee from here. Super tight and back bubbles, and she's dark. She's not super creamy on top, but the edges kind of have a little bit of rockiness to it. I'm kind of curious of where this one sits. A lot of American-born Russian Imperial Stouts come off hoppy. I don't think it should be that way. Your OGs, your Courages, your Black Alberts, things like that. They're a bit more malty side. They use that kind of bitterness to bounce off the sweetness, not to be the start of the show. So hopefully this one shows and proves that way, as opposed to being the other way. Let's see if we can get a nose. Man, there's a ton of coffee in here. A ton of it. Like a big, huge amount of... I think it's roasted malt and roasted coffee all at the same time. I got a little sniffles going on too, so I'm still pulling out this huge roasted component. I mean, there's this subtle kind of burnt brown sugar / chocolate component on top of that coffee. So it's definitely giving you kind of an espresso, kind of something beyond a regular coffee vibe. She smells big. It's almost like a coffee stout instead of Russian Imperial Stout. That's what I'm really getting here. Russian Imperial Stout, sometimes you can get a little bit of kind of red cherry kind of notes, a little bit more fruitiness off of it. This is just straight up like a coffee stout. Yeah. Sweet, tasty, almost in that kind of desserty range, but definitely coming short of it. So I'm going to dive right in and see what she's got. Cheers. That's a bummer. Whoa, that's a bummer. That's a super bummer. Man, that nose was so good. And this big, delicious coffee with this kind of chocolatey, sweet, brown sugary component going on. It's a shell of itself. Thin. Did not even get expected to be thin by any means based off of that nose. Not that you can tell a whole bunch about a mouthfeel from a nose, but yeah, sometimes you can. Comes off thin. That coffee comes through it in the mouth, but not nearly as robust and rich. You get a bitterness from the coffee. You get a bitterness from like the roasted malt. But it's nothing crazy. It's almost like the coffee is like almost like just an aroma based thing, like you know, just a straight up just aroma based kind of coffee. You do get it in the mouth, but I think it's leaning more towards the roasted kind of maltiness. That chocolate burnt sugar thing definitely doesn't come through. It doesn't lend itself being as sweet. It's almost dry. Wow, that is a bummer. If I didn't smell that beer first, I don't think I'd be as bummed. But based off of the way that nose came off, man, I thought it was going to be super fucking killer. Man, that's kind of a bummer. God damn it. Thin. Get roast from the malt, from the coffee and the taste, but not nearly as close to what the nose is leading you to believe. The sweetness is kind of lost. That sweetness that you get from the nose really isn't there in the mouth. And what you're left with is a fairly bitter, but it's more like a bitter, astringency bitter as opposed to a hop bitter, roasted coffee kind of stout, but it comes off thin, and it comes off unimpactful in the right ways. The most impactful part of it is, one, the jarring difference between the nose and the beer itself, and two, that little bit of like a kind of acidic, kind of astringent coffeeness that you get from like a pot of coffee that was sitting on way too long. That's just kind of how it lands, and it's super bummer. They talk about licorice on here. Yeah, not really getting that, but yeah, dried fig, no. It's weird because that nose, man. One of the better noses I've smelled in a stout. I was going to say base stout, but I don't know really what's in there. But in a bigger stout in a while, I mean, it just showed so much in the nose and just kind of super undelivered in the taste to the point where it's just kind of like, it's not a bad beer. It's not offensive. Do you know what I mean? It's not negative. It's just lacking. And that's kind of a bummer because I thought this one was really going to kill it. Let's talk about it. Is it one of the better Russian Imperial stouts I've had as of late? No. Value availability. I got this in like a mixer that I kind of got with a bunch of other people, so it ended up being, I don't know, $15, $16. So that's not too bad, but yeah, still a bummer. A brewery only, and just leave you with it if you like what we like this. If you love noses, if you like to smell beer, and taste is secondary because the nose on this is absolutely fantastic, but it just kind of underdelivers in the taste. So if you want to see how kind of aromatics can play in a beer, but actually end up kind of hurting them in the long run because you end up expecting a lot from what you smell, and it just kind of is a showcase in that. And if you just want to, again, go back to it, just smell beers because the nose on this, fucking killer. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, anywhere in between down there, words and stuff and things. You can check me out on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on tap. Massive Beers, all four of those places. There's a fifth place. In the audio world, your podcast of the world, your iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all that stuff. Beer Massive, Massif. It's a podcast I'm doing. You're going to see content from what I do on here, but a lot of new stuff from me and friends. Combine that with over 100 brewer interviews from an old radio show I used to do with a friend of mine, Derek. He actually did it first, so you see a lot of his stuff on there that I don't do. But tons of awesome brewer interviews from brewers all over the country, from big and small. So definitely go there, iTunes, 5-star that shit, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Beer Massive, Massif. Check it out. And you can find me in the audio world now. I'm creeping into every fucking nook and corner, cranny and corner, all the bits and pieces of your world. So check that out. And, there you go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice Russian Imperial Stout right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.